Hello and welcome to this week's video. Today I've decided to talk about insomnia and how mindfulness can actually help. And with that in mind, I'm going to be using a slightly different meditation technique for the mindfulness meditation at the end of the Qigong set. So for fans of the singing bowl, sorry, that's not in play today. So insomnia generally has two causes. One can be chronic pain, but the other one is more normally that situation where your thoughts are racing around in your head and you just can't quiet them. Excuse me. Now, chronic pain can be helped with mindfulness, and I have dealt with that in previous videos. Happy to deal with it again. But today, what I'm going to be talking about is the kind of insomnia where your mind's just racing around at 100 miles an hour. Now, to be fair, that can be caused by chronic pain and chronic illness if you're lying there worrying, what if, what if, what if. So, when you're suffering from insomnia, one of the first things that happens is you worry about the fact that you're not sleeping, which is completely counterproductive. And that's where mindfulness can be very helpful in breaking the cycle. Now, mindfulness is not, I repeat, is not about trying to clear your mind. Because, put bluntly, human minds aren't meant to be clear, they are meant to think. And that's why every form of meditation, mindfulness or otherwise, doesn't try to clear your mind, it gets you to focus your mind on something else. A candle flame, listening to the silence, a bit of guided visualization. The first trick that you need to know if you're going to use mindfulness to help with insomnia is the first thing is to understand that mindfulness is about awareness. It's about awareness of your thoughts and what they're doing. So when you become aware of the fact that your mind is running away at 100 miles an hour, whether it's the middle of the night and you're trying to sleep, or whether it's during the day and that train of thought isn't making you feel good, the first thing is to be aware of what your mind is doing and how that's making you feel. Now, if those racing thoughts are keeping you awake in the middle of the night, when you've noticed the thoughts, the next thing you need to do is to accept that's what your mind is doing at this moment. Don't criticize yourself, don't judge yourself, because that just sets off another train of thought. Sometimes all you can do is actually accept that's where I am, right here, right now. When you accept that and you stop trying to change it, that can actually stop some of the train of thought. The next thing that you need to do, having accepted that that's where you are and stop criticizing yourself for the fact that your mind is doing what it's meant to be doing, is to try and get your mind to focus on something else. That can be your breathing, it can be other mindfulness techniques that help you focus on different things, which I can't go into here and now. But a very useful technique in the middle of the night is just to focus your mind on what you are aware of going on around you in this moment now. So maybe you can realise that you are aware of the clock ticking, aware of your husband snoring, aware of a cat padding around on the bed, aware of the touch of the sheets on your body, aware of the softness of the sheets, aware of the way that your bed is supporting your body. And if you've listened to my meditations before, you will know that these are all things that I will ask you to focus your attention on. Because when you're focusing your attention on something neutral in this moment, then your mind is not going to be running away thinking all these what if. It's not a foolproof thing. There is no foolproof method. But it can certainly help an awful lot. So, having said all that, how can Qigong help? Well, the regular practice of Qigong is good on a number of levels. But I have to say, when someone comes along to my session for the first time, the most common feedback I get when they come back the second time is, gosh, I slept really well last week. So, QED. If you can't do anything else, just watch this video and go through the Qigong set that I'm going to be demonstrating to you. You can use the mindfulness techniques as well. That will help. But I think the prime thing you need to recognise with insomnia is what's keeping you awake is your thoughts. And the bottom line is, no one else is thinking those thoughts but you. No one is putting those thoughts into your head. You may have very good reasons for thinking those thoughts, but once you've acknowledged that those thoughts are not helping you, what I'm doing is giving you techniques that you can use to stop that train of thoughts and get on to something that is rather more helpful. So, having said all that, what I would like you to do is to get yourself into a position where you've got plenty of space so you can spread your arms out for the Qigong session, and make sure that you've also got somewhere that you can sit or lie comfortably for the meditation at the end. Ideally, do this in a space and a time when you're not going to be disturbed, because above all, when you're watching these videos, whenever you watch them, whether you watch them live or download them from the archive in my page, you need to keep in mind that this is your time. This is your time for you. This is your time of self-care. And self-care is never, ever selfish. Whatever is going on in your life, making time for self-care is one of the most productive things that you can ever do. So, having said that, I'm going to get myself back into my space. I invite you to get yourself into your space, and we will go through a few gentle Qigong moves. So I want to start by bowing in. The bow in acknowledges the energy, it acknowledges all sorts of things. In many ways, bowing in can be a mental signal to yourself, right, this is my Qigong time, this is me time. So, just standing naturally with your feet together, bring your left hand across your body with the palm up, put your right hand across your body with the palm down, clasp arms and bow from the waist with your eyes down in love and trust. Let your hands flow down by your side. And I want you to get yourself into bear stance, which is feet about hip width apart, knees very slightly bent, back straight, neck straight, and if you can, engage these core abdominal muscles with a slight pelvic tilt. I just want you to stand in that position as best you can, and just close your eyes and just breathe. Maybe get a sense of how your body is feeling this morning, or a sense of what your mind is doing this morning. Maybe get a sense of how you need to feel at the end of this session. This is your session to help you feel how you need. Then I'd like you to send your awareness down to your feet. Check that your weight is evenly distributed across both feet. And then I'd like you to imagine that you're in a beautiful glass lift cage. And this lift cage looks out over the most beautiful countryside. And gradually I want you to imagine this lift cage sliding down floor by floor by floor. Maybe going down one floor with each out breath. Maybe only half a floor if that's all you're comfortable with. Just let that lift cage float down until it touches the ground or gets as close to the ground as you're happy with. Let your hands hang loose, make sure your shoulders are relaxed. Turn your arms so that your palms are facing backwards. And then with your next in-breath, slowly let your arms float up in front of you with the palms down. And as you breathe out, just let them sink down. On your own breath and your own rhythm. Only move your arms as far as you can easily manage in one gentle, easy breath. Don't do anything that causes pain or discomfort. If anything that you do causes pain or discomfort, then moderate what you're doing. You should always work within 70% of your maximum ability. And above all, bear in mind, it's not about doing the moves perfectly. It's about doing the moves perfectly for you, with your body right here, right now. Breathe in, let your arms float up. You breathe out, they float back down. Let your arms gently rise and fall with the rhythm of your breath, moving in response to your breath or not. And then last time for this move, breathe out and let your hands float down at the bottom, relax and let go. Now with your next in-breath, your hands float up again, but then turn your palms in and let your arms spread out. And as you breathe out, your hands float back in and back down. And this can be a very small move, you don't have to make it big. Just do what works for your breath and your body. Be really aware of the signals that you're getting from your body. Breathe in, your hands float up and out. As you breathe out, they float back in and back down. And then last time for this move. And the next in-breath, bring your arms up as high as you can easily get them. And then as you breathe out, dip on your left knee and let your right arm uncurl. As you breathe in, bring everything back to the centre and to balance. And do the same on the other side. Dipping on your right knee and letting your left arm uncurl. And keep the back straight. No matter how high you can get your hands, be very aware how your shoulders feel. Take your hands as high as your shoulders can take them, right here, right now. You do this move twice a minute. And last time for this move. And as you breathe in, your hands meet at the top, and as you breathe out, turn your palms out and let your hands sweep all the way down by your side. Breathe in, your arms float up, and as you breathe out, sink back down. Maybe you could imagine as your hands sweep down that you're pushing away any clouds that surround you. Breathe in, your arms float up. Breathe out, and they sweep back down. And then last time for this move. And this time as you breathe out, let your hands float down in front of you, ending with your palms up in front of your abdomen. And then as you breathe in, I want you to imagine you're feeling around a small ball, and as you breathe out, imagine you push that ball underwater. Breathe in, smooth around the ball, breathe out, and push it underwater. And then last time for this move, smooth around the ball, and this time as you breathe out, I want you to bring your hands into position in front of your abdomen. In this moment, close your eyes and just let everything settle. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. Get yourself into the space where you're going to do the meditation. So, when you're comfortable, I'd like you first of all just to become aware of what you can see just in front of you, whatever that is. And then I want you to allow your eyes to gently close if you find it easier to follow my instructions. And as you do, just let that image go. Whatever it was that you saw, no importance now, just let the thought of it drift away like clouds in a summer sky. And now I want you to become aware of any sounds that you're aware of inside or outside this room. Try to let go of any tendency to label what you hear as good or bad. It just is. You don't even have to identify each sound. Just be aware of the sound that is naturally coming to your ears. Acknowledge it. And then let it go. Now, I'd like you to become very aware of what you can feel wherever you're sitting and lying. Whether it's a bed or a chair or the floor, your body will be touching something. And you become aware of that point of contact between your body and what it's touching. Can you notice what sensations it brings you? Again, avoid the temptation to label any sensation as good or bad. It just is. You can acknowledge each sensation and then just let it go. And then I'd like you to focus your attention onto your breathing. Just breathe quite naturally and just notice what you notice about each breath. Again, avoid any temptation to wonder what other people are doing or to wonder if you're doing it right. Whatever you're noticing is perfect for you. Now, because you have a normal human mind, the chances are that your mind is going to wander away from focusing on your breath. Maybe you're going to get bored or impatient, or other things just intrude into your mind because they seem more important. Well, do you know something? That's perfectly normal. And the point of the mindfulness technique isn't to clear your mind, it's to acknowledge what your mind is doing. So whenever you notice that your mind has wandered away from focusing on your breath, I want you to congratulate yourself for noticing what your mind is doing. Acknowledge the thought that took your mind away. And then let it go. And then gently lead your mind back to focusing on every in-breath and every out-breath. Because right here, right now, nothing else matters except just this breath coming in, just this breath going out. And it doesn't matter how many times you need to lead your mind back. As many times as your mind wanders off and you notice, you are succeeding in being mindful. So congratulate yourself. And as many times as your mind wanders off, gently lead it back to focusing on every in-breath and every out-breath. So what are you aware of as you breathe? Maybe you're aware of air moving in your nose or throat. Maybe you're aware of muscles moving in your chest or in your tongue. But now I'd like you to try and become aware of that moment of stillness in between each breath. And just for a moment, everything is still. When your in-breath becomes an out-breath, and your out-breath becomes an in-breath, for a brief moment, everything is still. I don't want you to hold your breath. Just try to notice that brief moment of stillness when it happens. And if you can't notice it at first, well, that's okay. It takes practice. Just keep your focus on your breath and keep trying to find that moment of stillness. Now you might like to consider the fact that that moment of stillness happens hundreds of times every day, whether you're aware of it or not. So maybe you could imagine that every time it happens, a tiny, tiny drop of stillness is stored in a place inside you. Stored in a place where you can tap into it when you need to. And now I'd like you to find that place inside yourself where you keep stores of all sorts of good feelings, stillness, calmness, peacefulness. As you find that place with the next in-breath, I'd like you to imagine that you breathe down deeply into that place. And as you breathe out, your breath carries with it that feeling that you need right here, right now. Whether it's stillness, calmness, peacefulness. The feeling that you need right now is going to be breathed around the whole of your body. I just want you to take 3 or 4 gentle, easy breaths. And as you do, I want you to imagine that that good feeling is spreading around the whole of your body. And then, I'd like you to try and hold the whole of your body in your awareness. And notice how good it feels when it's filled with this good feeling. Now I'd like you to become aware once more of what you can feel around you. And then what you can hear around you. And then, if you had your eyes closed, gently allow your eyes to open and acknowledge once more what you can see around you. But as you bring yourself back to normal awareness, I want you to keep in the front of your mind the thought that you can recall this good feeling which you have right here, right now, simply by focusing your attention onto your breath, by anchoring your attention into your breath, so that your breath can become something that can stabilize you in the face of the storms that life can sometimes throw in your direction. So, do please take a moment to make sure that you're fully back in the room before you go on to whatever you're doing in the rest of the day. I do hope you found that helpful. If you have, do please leave a comment. If there's anything you'd like me to focus on in my next session, again, please leave a comment or PM me. These videos are provided free, but I do have a Patreon page, and the sponsorship will enable me maybe to get slightly better equipment, so the sound and visual quality is a bit better. But also, more importantly, sponsors will get access to extra videos, extra sessions, extra time from me, mainly in a group, but can even be one-to-one. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.